Hansel and Gretel by the Brothers Grimm, retold by Ruth Ainsworth. There was once a poor woodcutter and his wife, and they lived in a forest with their 2 children, Hansel and Gretel. One winter there was not enough bread for them to eat, and the wife, who was a hard woman, said to her husband, "Let's take the children into the forest and leave them there to get on as best they can. Then we shall have 2 less mouths to feed." The father would not hear of it, as he loved his children, but his wife went on and on till at last he gave way. Now the children heard what their mother was planning to do, as they were too hungry to get to sleep. Gretel began to cry, but Hansel said, "Don't cry, little sister, I will look after you." When his parents were asleep, Hansel quietly unlocked the door. The white pebbles on the path were shining in the moonlight, and he stuffed his pockets with them. Then he went back to bed. The next morning the mother gave the children a slice of bread each and said, "Keep some to eat later," and they all went off into the forest. Hansel kept lagging behind. "Hurry up, lazybones," said his mother. "I'm only saying goodbye to my little white cat sitting on the roof," said Hansel. But he was really dropping a trail of little white pebbles. The parents lit a fire of branches and told the children to stay there till they fetched them. The children ate the bread and slept a while. When they woke up, the moon was shining. Gretel was frightened, but Hansel said, "Don't cry, little sister. Look, there are the white pebbles I dropped on the way. They will lead us home." Their father was delighted to see them, but their mother only pretended to be glad. Later on, things grew even worse, and they had even less to eat. The mother nagged and nagged at her husband till at last he agreed to leave the children in the depths of the forest. Again the children were lying awake, too hungry to sleep, and heard what was said. Hansel tried to collect some more pebbles, but he could not find the right door key. "I'll think of something in the morning," he said to Gretel. The next day they all set out into the forest. Their mother gave the children a slice of bread each and said, "Make it last a long time." Hansel lagged behind, and when his mother scolded him, he said, "I'm just saying goodbye to my little white dove perching on the roof." But he was really dropping crumbs from his slice of bread on the ground. Their parents lit a good fire of branches and said, "Wait here till we fetch you this evening." Gretel gave Hansel half her slice of bread, and they ate and then fell asleep. When they woke up, the moon was shining, but there were no crumbs to lead them home. The birds of the air had eaten them all up. The children were now completely lost, but they wandered here and there till they came to a strange little cottage. It was made of bread with a roof of plum cake and windows of barley sugar. Hansel broke off a piece of cake and began to eat, and Gretel began to bite part of a window. At once a voice from within called out, "Tip-tap, tip-tap, who taps on my door?" And the children answered, the wind, the children of heaven," and went on eating. Then the door opened, and out hobbled a little old woman. They were very frightened, but she spoke kindly to them and said, "Come inside, my dear children, I will take care of you." She gave them a lovely meal of milk and pancakes and apples and nuts. Then she put them to bed in 2 little white beds. The children went to sleep thinking they were in heaven, but this little old woman was really a wicked witch. She made her house of good things to eat just to tempt little children to have a bite, and when she had caught them, she cooked them and ate them. The next morning the witch told the children to get dressed quickly, and she shut Hansel up in a cage by himself. Then she told Gretel to clean the house and to cook something good for Hansel to eat. She wanted to fatten him up before she ate him. Both children cried bitterly, but it was no use crying. The witch took no notice. Every morning the witch went up to Hansel's cage and croaked, "Stretch out your fingers so that I can feel if you're getting any fatter." But every morning Hansel stuck an old bone through the bars instead. The witch, whose eyes were red and dim, thought it was really his finger and felt it carefully. She was very cross that he stayed so thin, in spite of all the nourishing meals that she made Gretel cook for him. It was very disappointing. At last, after 4 weeks of feeding him up and finding him as thin as ever, the old witch lost her patience. "Fat or skinny," she cried, "I will cook Hansel for dinner this very evening. Gretel, fetch the big pot and fill it with water." "But first I'll bake a loaf of bread," went on the witch. Just creep into the oven to see if it's hot enough." The witch intended to bake Gretel and eat her at the same time as Hansel, but Gretel guessed what was in her mind and was too clever for her. "I don't know how to creep into the oven," she said. "The door is far too small to squeeze through." "You silly little goose," said the witch angrily. "It is plenty big enough. Why, I can get in myself." "Please show me how," said Gretel. So the witch stuck her head and shoulders into the oven. Then Gretel quickly gave her a push and shut the oven door and bolted it. So the wicked witch was frizzled away to nothing in next to no time. Gretel ran to Hansel's cage and let him out. They danced for joy and hugged and kissed each other. Then they explored the witch's cottage and found precious jewels in every corner, which Hansel put in his pockets and Gretel gathered in her apron. They left the cottage and tried to find their way home. After a time, they saw trees and paths they recognized, and soon they came to their father's house. His wife was dead, and he had not had one single happy hour since the children had been left in the forest. The three of them lived happily ever after. They were no longer so poor that they could not afford to eat, because they sold the jewels they had brought home for money. The end.